Please join us for the words for the chalice lighting. Will be on the screen. Okay. We light this chalice for the hope of truth, the warmth of love, and the energy of action as we gather together in the circle of community.
Having sung together, having heard the beautiful entry into our service this morning, having a moment to sit and breathe and light that chalice, I invite you just to take a minute to be nowhere but here, to center down into this space in the sounds, the music, the silence, the sounds of life all around you, the breathing. The feeling of being at one with those who are gathered here. What a gift the ministry of music is to each of us. I hope you have each received a copy of the information that Ron has made available about today's music and the composer. Well, then you will before you leave. From the routines of our individual lives and by varied routes, we join here, a community of seekers. In worship, we make the time and space to reach within through the clutter of our interior lives to find that which resides at our center and guides us in being our truest self. We dig down to connect to that which roots and grounds us. We reach out to those all around us, even strangers, those we haven't yet met, seeking to acknowledge our connection as members of the human family. We reach out to experience our unity and the comfort of fellowship. We gather in community to be reminded that we are not alone. And we reach up toward the aspirations in our hearts, toward something greater than ourselves, toward the greatest good, which some folks call God, but not always. We stretch ourselves upward because more often than not, we hunch our shoulders down through life and we look down and play it small. And life needs us to stand upright and play it big. We stretch here to our full height. And we return week after week to the liberating and covenantal worshiping community to be reminded of all of this and to sense what is possible in us and in this world.
Good morning. I'm Jack Lohr, serving as president for the Board of Trustees at the Unitarian Society of Ridgewood. Thank you, Frank, for absolutely beautiful music. At the Unitarian Society of Ridgewood, we have no creed, but we commit to a covenant. Our first promise in that covenant is to support this congregation with our presence, gifts, and service, and to care for each other and the long-term well-being of our community. Each week at this point in the service, we remind ourselves of the covenant and our vision of community, a community of trust, warmth, and joy, held together with love, our UU values, and our commitment to the search for truth, meaning, and justice. It takes all of us with our different gifts, talents, and contributions to make that vision a reality. This morning, we have a couple of announcements. Today, after the service, you are invited to stay with us for a town hall meeting led by our treasurer, Jan Botcher, our pledge drive chair, Sally Lewis, and me. You'll have a chance to learn about our finances and to ask questions. I've been asked also to alert you to 2 local demonstrations being held in response to the death of Nex Benedict, a 16-year-old non-binary student who died a day after a fight in their high school restroom with 3 girls who had been bullying them. There will be a vigil at 1 p.m. at the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Montclair, co-sponsored by Garden State Equality and the Bayard Rustin Center for Social Justice. And there will be another vigil at Central Unitarian in the Westwood Women's Club, 205 Kindercamack Road, Westwood at 2 p.m., co-sponsored by PFLAG, Paramus, and Westwood Pride. This month's collection in the plate is earmarked, half of it for USR and half of it to Share Incorporated, a nonprofit organization that provides affordable, independent living for seniors at 2 residences located in Ridgewood, including one directly across the street from this place. Thank you for your generosity of support. The morning offering will now be given and gratefully received.
The year was 55 of the Common Era. The city was Corinth, a bustling Greek harbor city roughly 50 miles west of Athens. Corinth had a large and diverse population of close to 500,000 people, and like any city, it had its problems. Like New York City of these days, they probably had rats. Prostitution was rampant. The city was known as a center of blatant corruption and debauchery. Essentially, what happened in Corinth stayed in Corinth, which is to say that all in antiquity wasn't a vision of sweetness and light. Although it seemed like an unlikely place for the then new religion of Christianity to flourish, it was there that a congregation was planted. This congregation brought together for the very first time people of all walks of life. There were Greeks, Romans, and Jews. Women and men were equally active in membership, at least allegedly, and in public prayer and prophesying too. There were those who were wealthy and of noble birth, and those who were of humble birth. There were the free and the enslaved. It was a religious community modeled on the voluntary gathering or assemblies of Greek society. And the founder of this successful, vibrant congregation, the planter of this church, was Paul of Tarsus, also known as the Apostle Paul. Though I have to say, in my Presbyterian upbringing, nobody ever referred to him as the Apostle Paul. I've learned that from the Catholics I later became friends with. Paul, as if he was our friend. Paul saw this church as the model for which all others should be built. A voluntary gathering of diverse people, let's think about this, who come together for worship, for reflection, to figure out how to live their lives and live their faith in a messy world, for fellowship, and for a communal meal. Sound familiar? It does to me. But because the congregation was made up of humans, it was imperfect, and sometimes it was really messy. At one point, the church at Corinth suffered from factionalism, with separate parties claiming allegiances to Paul, the founder, to Apollos, a Jewish Christian preacher, to Peter, one of Jesus's disciples, or Christ according to their own understanding, not Paul's. There was a competitive spirit around which members were the true preachers and prophesiers, and those among them who were the most faithful or righteous. The socioeconomic disparities within the community produced a tendency toward hierarchy, and so it went. It was all of the stuff of human beings. So while Paul was out establishing other Christian communities, he wrote a series of letters to the congregation at Corinth. One, which addressed the issues I just spoke about, has been passed down through the ages. It is 1 Corinthians in the Christian Bible. In that letter, sandwiched between practical and theological advice, Paul offered some of the most rhapsodic lines that have ever been written about religious community. You will recognize the words. Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful. It is not arrogant or rude. Love does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrong, but rejoices in the right. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. We are accustomed to hearing those words spoken at wedding ceremonies, but they were not written for couples. They were written as a manual for how to be a church member and how to be a congregation. Paul was writing of the need for love within the church. Not romantic love, of course, and not some sort of mushy-minded Hallmark kind of love. Though flowery by contemporary standards, perhaps, Paul wrote about the sometimes terribly difficult task of living the spiritual discipline of love as a way of life, as an expression of faith, as an abiding commitment to and deep care for one's congregation and fellow members, even when life and other people are imperfect or we disagree. You see, even as the members of the voluntary faith community at Corinth brought with them their aspirations and their best intentions and their most polite manners and their strengths and their talents and their hopes and their yearning, they also brought with them the rest of themselves. They brought their particular passions, which sometimes clashed. They brought old hurts, their limitations, their feelings of powerlessness in response to the concerns of their day. They came with their fears and with their sense of life being an experience of abundance or scarcity. They came with their frustrations, their personal projects and priorities, and their unacknowledged biases. They came lacking self-awareness, and they brought the basic human need to be seen, heard, affirmed, and to belong. They brought with them all that they were. So Paul wrote to remind them of what they held in common and to lift up the vision of the community that they sought to cultivate and embody and model for the rest of society to see, and fingers crossed for the rest of society to emulate. Reminding the congregants at Corinth of the power of love, reminding them that without the intentional practice of choosing to stay in right relationship and with one another and to stay open to that which will yet be revealed, nothing else matters. It doesn't matter if you're the most pious or if you're the most moved by the Holy Spirit so as to speak in tongues. Can you imagine that in a UU context? It doesn't matter if you are of noble birth or provide generous financing. In keeping congregational life on track, Paul writes, so faith, hope, and love abide, but the greatest of these is love. How we are in relationship, the quality of relationship in the voluntary community of congregational life is the greatest thing. Greater than faith, greater than hope. Today, after worship, you, the members of this voluntary community, will begin one of the most meaningful tasks in congregational polity or governance. a month-long process of discerning your congregation's priorities and how you will join together, each and every one of you, to fund that vision. Through your ongoing dialogue, you will give living form to the ministries within your Unitarian society, and by so doing, tell the larger community who you are and what you stand for as people of faith. Now, just to remind you, the power of a congregation to decide for itself how it will raise money and how it will spend that money should be experienced as a privilege and not a dreaded task to be avoided. Not every community of faith places such decision-making power in the hands of the members, and this is part of what sets Unitarian Universalism apart. We are congregational in polity. The power of the congregation resides with you, the members of the congregation. And while congregational polity is a privilege, congregational governance is not without its challenges. Like the members of the congregation at Corinth, every voluntary gathering of people has its hurdles to clear. And this is especially true when it comes to money. The annual giving campaign in every congregation taps into just about every aspect of our psychological makeup from our earliest life until this very moment. There may be bells and whistles going off inside of you right now. Wait till I ask you to stand up and announce what you're going to pledge. It would be fun, but I'm not going to do that. The process of communal stewardship touches on what we believe matters most, but it digs down deeper. It touches on how money was or wasn't talked about in our family of origin, and whether charitable giving was a spiritual practice taught to us or intentionally cultivated by us, or it's something we're trying very hard to avoid in life. We each have a money history created by our parents and their relationship to money and others along the way. How do we react to conversations about money? What's our comfort with owning our economic reality? Do we perceive the universe as a place of tremendous abundance or scarcity? To the pledge conversation, we bring anxiety about not having enough, or we fear we will be asked to give more than we want or can give. We bring to the table our values around fiscal responsibility and the privilege of having choices about how to spend or save. That is a privilege. To the congregational conversation about giving, we bring our long history with Unitarian Universalism, or our newness, and our philosophy or theology, and probably some baggage from a religious community we were a part of growing up or since then, and hopefully some gifts from those earlier communities too. We have our vision for what the congregation might be and what we wish was different. There's no shortage to the threads that we can pull on here. And along with all of these things that I've mentioned and all the other feelings that I may have raised within you by mentioning money matters, I hope that today, as you begin this conversation, that's going to take time and discernment personally, I hope that you will remember to bring your love. Bring your abiding commitment to these imperfect people and those who will yet cross that threshold and join you here. Bring your abiding commitment to your congregational life. Bring your love and abiding commitment to this lofty, potentially world-changing, but tiny and honestly sometimes kind of wonky Unitarian Universalist tradition. We're a little odd sometimes. And there are very, 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 very few of us. But that doesn't mean we can't love this faith and pour lots of energy into it. Bring your love and your commitment and yearning for this world and humankind, the energy that drives you to want to help heal what is fragmented. Bring your faith, your hope, and your love. and give meaningfully of your time, your talent, and through your financial commitment. Ron has shared with us that our music for today, much of it, is the music of composer William Grant Still. Those of you who had the opportunity to receive that information are aware of that. I share with you now a few words from Judith Ann Still, the daughter of composer William Grant Still, who is a friend of this congregation. She wrote this in response to hearing that her father's music would be used this morning in honoring Black History Month. She says, "We live right now, in a critical time, a time in which we can firmly repudiate violence and all attacks upon those who think or look differently. The Lord made differences on the planet to broaden our experiences and appreciations. The more we appreciate difference, the more we understand about the Creator." Whatever our personal theology, however we describe it, whatever philosophy drives us, she is quite right. The world needs us. The world's always been a broken place, but it's particularly shocking these days. I think any one of us could list a long litany of things about which we are deeply concerned. The world needs us to rise against injustice and inequity and ignorance and violence and threats to democracy. We need to offer the people of the nation and the world a different path. And because there is no shortage of soul-deep, hard work for us to do, we need, each and every one of us, a sturdy, resilient, reliable, healthy religious community that strengthens our tender hearts and encourages our children. A place and a community where we can tune into the power within us and beyond us, and which brings us into mutually supportive fellowship. The work before you in your stewardship campaign is not just how you will keep the congregation functioning for another 12 months, but how you will help it thrive and grow and help heal what is broken in our world. This world needs Unitarian Universalism, wonky though we are. Ridgewood, New Jersey, and the online world needs you. So faith, hope, and love abide. But the greatest of these is love. We join now in our next hymn, number 34, "Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire." Instead of offering spoken joys and concerns, today I invite you to engage in another form of ritual. We invite the Spirit to come, Spirit known to each of us uniquely, to our burdened hearts and our busy minds that long for peace and to be made whole. I invite you, if you choose to wordlessly rise and in reverence and care for yourself and that which is carried in your heart, to light a candle of concern or yearning, of sorrow or joy or hope for yourself and for this world. We engage in this prayerful ritual. I invite you to stay in this meditative space and join with me in reflecting upon the words of Wendell Berry. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. In this time, whatever you are thinking, feeling, carrying with you today, in this time, in this place, may you rest in the grace of the world and be free. In times of weakness, may you sense the strength of the eternal. In failure, may you be upheld like the buoyancy of water. In limitation, may you remember that your choices may be as great as the expanse of the sky overhead. In insecurity, may you feel the solid earth beneath your feet. In times of despair, may you hear joy in the birds sing. In chilling fear, may you feel the warmth of the sun. Whatever this time, whatever the circumstance, may you rest in the grace of the world and be free. for all that's held in your hearts. I say, so may it be, and amen. As we move toward closure, not quite there, but as we move in that direction, I share with you a contemporary story, one that has been told and retold and told again and again so many times that it's impossible to know who wrote it and its original form. It goes like this. There was a woman, maybe about my age, my height. Maybe she had glasses like I do. A woman who felt that the world was falling apart. She'd read the news on her phone and get depressed. She worried for the world. It brought tears to her eyes. For the natural environment, she worried. For the children of others, she worried. For struggling families, she worried. She wanted peace in the world and peace in her heart, and she was struggling to find what she yearned for. And how could she make a difference? One day, walking through her neighborhood, and I imagine her walking down Broadway near Columbia, if you will, walking through her neighborhood, she saw a store she'd not seen before. Its windows were interesting, maybe a new bookstore. She stepped in. She was surprised to see behind the counter someone who she thought might be Jesus based on those drawings and paintings she saw when she was a kid. She looked again, and finally she got up the nerve and she said, "Excuse me, are you Jesus?" "I am," Jesus said. "Do you work here?" "I do. I co-own the store," Jesus said, gesturing to others who were there. And the woman looked, and they seemed to be maybe Moses and Buddha and Muhammad and Ganesha. And there were some women that the woman couldn't place, but she knew they must be religious leaders too. "What is it you sell here?" she asked. "Just about anything." "Anything?" "Anything you want. What do you want?" And the woman paused for a moment. "I want so much, I don't know where to begin." And Jesus said, "Well, feel free to walk up and down the aisles, and here's some paper, make a little list, and then come back to the counter and let's see what we can do for you." The woman did just that. She walked up and down the aisles, and she found peace on earth straight away. That was a hot one. No more war, no hunger or poverty, peace in families, no more addiction. There was harmony, clean air, careful use of resources. She wrote furiously. By the time she got back to the counter, she had a long list, both sides. Jesus took the list from her, skimmed through it, looked up at her and smiled and said, "No problem." He bent down behind the counter and picked through all sorts of things. And after a while, he stood up and he laid out on the counter an envelope for each of the items on her list. "What are these?" she asked. "They are seed packets. This is a catalog store." "Wait a minute," said the woman. "I don't get the finished product?" "No, this is a place of vision. This is a place of vision. You come and you see what it looks like, and we give you the seeds. It's up to you to plant the seeds and nurture them. Some will thrive, others will struggle to grow, and someone else in some future time will reap the benefit of your labor." "Oh," said the woman, who then said that she would browse just a little bit longer to see if there was anything else she needed. And when she thought no one was looking, she slipped out the door. All of the flowers, All of the possibilities of all of the tomorrows are in the seeds of today. Let us be wise planters. So may it be.
Join us for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish the flame, but may the hope of truth, the warmth of love, and the energy of action burn bright in our hearts until we are together again.
You may be seated. Are you playing? Are you playing? Is there a postlude?
Oh, they're used to hearing this.
Okay. Lovely, lovely. We invite you all to stay for the town hall. I see that coffee and all kinds of wonderful smelling things have been brought in to munch on to make the money conversation a little sweeter. So, thank you all for joining us for worship today.